Hi everyone, and welcome back to our February Sew Together. I hope this video finds you in good spirits and with something warm to drink. Today we are going to be continuing our lifestyle tote. If you are just joining us, there was an introductory video to this project. I will link to that down in the notes for you so you can get caught up. There is also a supplementary PDF that goes along with these videos, which are going to take place Fridays, 12 noon Eastern. I have created one convenient playlist for you as well, and that is also linked down in the notes. So today, what we're going to do is walk through the construction of the exterior of this bag. So for anyone that's new to bag making, you're going to take your long piece of material for your straps, press that in half, and then open that up and bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line. Then you can insert your foam or your batting or your interfacing. If you're using batting, I like to cut a 3-inch channel of that and position that right in that center. If you are using the foam, I just go with a 1-inch cut of that foam. Fusible fleece is also wonderful. You could use the Decoville Light. As long as it's not too thick, you can go ahead and consume that 3-inch channel in the center. For the foam, I find 1 layer or 1 inch is enough, and I like to keep that out of the seams there. And I have one of those straps pre-crafted for you so you can see how nice that foam. It gives it just a little bit of padding, lets those stitches sink down in there, and it's still pliable, but it's not going to wrinkle and dent like a strap without interfacing would. So this first strap here, I should note, is crafted with raw edges. The strap that we're going to sew together, I want you to take those short ends and fold those up a 1/2 inch, okay, on both sides, because we need one of these straps to be finished. So after you insert your interfacing or foam in that channel, then you're going to go ahead and fold that over and align those folded edges. Give that a good press again, and then go ahead and run a row of stitching down that open edge, the opposite long edge, and then I like to add 2 more rows of stitching to give this a really fun finished look. Okay, now I have 2 straps all prepped, and one of those has nicely finished edges at the end, and one of them has raw edges. The one with the raw edges we're going to encase with a little piece of trim. The one with the finished edges is going to be hidden under that exterior pocket. All right, so now we're going to bring over the exterior panel, which I pieced mine together to add interest to this, and I have backed with a slightly smaller piece of the Annie's Soft and Stable, which is a foam, and it should be centered right in the middle of this panel. I did a pretty good job, but on this side it shifted a little bit, but it should be fine because it's not going to be all the way in my seam. But if you are able, keep your Annie's centered on your panel. And the Annie's is nice because it is really easy to sew with. You might want to be more cautious if you're using something, say, like Decoville Light or any of the interfacings that when you get multiple layers get kind of problematic for standard machines. So anyways, my exterior panel is really big, and all the measurements are in that first video and in the PDF. So please make sure that you reference one of those sources when you're starting to construct the exterior of your bag. So for this project, we are using kind of an inside out method that I've never taught before. I have taught this project before live to a small group of Sewspire patrons, but I have not taught this method publicly on YouTube. So it is very different. But what I want to point out to you is that these short ends of this exterior panel are going to become the top of the front and the rear of the exterior. So you do need to pay attention if you're using directional prints for this. So my strap is positioned 4 inches from the side and 6 inches down. And on this side, I have the finished strap, the side that my pocket's going to go on. Now I want to go ahead and turn this panel around so I can work with the opposite side. And this is where I'm going to position the strap with the raw ends. And that's going to have the same placement. 4 inches in from each side and 6 inches down. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you, but I did stitch that foam in place. I ran 2 rows of vertical stitching across this accent panel. And the purpose of that was just to stitch that foam in place. Okay, so both straps are positioned 4 inches from the edge and 6 inches down. Now I want to go ahead and tack both of these straps down at the ends there with a row of stitching. For this finished handle, I am going to go ahead and back stitch and reinforce that. So the straps are just attached at their ends 6 inches down. So we want to go back over here to the strap that has the raw edges, and we are going to use a piece of trim fabric which you would have prepped just like the handles. It's the same width as the panel, and you're going to fold that in half lengthways and press, and then bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line. Go ahead and press it over one more time like you were making a skinny strap, but then open it back up. The reason you're going to do that is we need that center press line so we can have a really nice, neat stitching. So now you're going to take this panel and you're going to position it right on top of those straps so you can hide those raw ends. You're going to stitch across the top of that, the base of that, and then right down the center. And that's going to allow us to encase those raw edges. It's also going to allow us to reinforce those straps at 3 different points. So I'm just going to position this up on the machine deck and stitch down that trim panel. So my handle on the front of the bag is securely attached and encased with that little trim piece, which happens to match the accent on here. So this looks beautiful. And then on the opposite side, I have this handle, which I folded those edges inward positioned, and it's kind of just looking lonely and all by itself out there. So what we're going to do is hide that with an exterior pocket. So with the exterior pocket, again, that is one panel, but I did piece that and add a little interest, a little trim, which you can see the benefit of doing that from the exterior panel that I just showed you. So you're going to take your pocket panel and press over those short edges and then stagger the top of that just a bit. If you use that trim piece, that makes it look like you have an accent fabric on your pocket. That's completely optional. Now, I did decide to add a slightly smaller cut of the Annie's foam to the inside of this pocket, and that is because on the bag that I showed you in the introductory segment, I felt that pocket was lacking a little stability. And so the Annie's is such a wonderful product to work with. I am going to go ahead and reinforce this pocket with a little bit of that foam. You could use fusible fleece, you can use quilt batting, or you could just leave it alone as well. It won't inhibit the function of the pocket. It was just more for me, the feel, and the pocket seemed a little floppy in the center. Another remedy for that would be adding a snap to the center of the pocket to attach to the exterior. That's a great option. So now what I want to do is position this pocket up on the machine deck and add 2 rows of stitching so I can finish the pocket and catch a little bit of that foam in the top stitching. And now I have a really pretty exterior pocket. And so this is obviously the back of that because the print is going in the wrong direction. So I want to position this exterior pocket 3 inches up from the center of this larger panel. And I'm getting really lucky with this fabric placement. It's coming together so pretty at that point. I'm going to hold that up and show it to you all so you can see. Isn't that neat how that came together with the pattern? So that's going to be the base of the bag. So all you're going to see is the front of the pocket. But it is really fun how that repeat came together like that. You can have a lot of fun with this print. I love it. Okay, so now I have my pocket in place 3 inches up from approximate center, and I'm going to run a row of stitching across the base of this pocket. I may go ahead and run 2 rows of stitching across the base of this because if for some reason any of those stitches gave loose, I would have a hole in my pocket and it would be kind of difficult to fix. Okay, so now I have a full-length exterior panel that has 1 exterior pocket on it and 2 handles, and the handles are nicely finished. So now would be the time to decide if you would like to add rivets or anything to this. So now the next step in the exterior process is to fold those handles down out of the way and go ahead and pin them down so that there is absolutely no chance that you are going to catch those in your side seams. And then you're going to need your exterior lining, which is a like-size piece of material. I'm just using a Kona cotton there. I have no interfacing on it. You have the option of using a very light interfacing if you like. Because I have the foam on this exterior, I am not going to use any interfacing on this exterior lining. So I just want to take my time and go ahead and line that up, pin or clip well, because you do not want this piece to shift. All right, so I have my exterior lining right sides facing with my exterior panel. Now I'm going to stitch down both of those long edges using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, I have stitched down both long edges. I want to give that a closer examination and make sure that I have not miss any of those layers. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim this up. Not too close, because a lot of pressure is going to be placed on this side seam. So I have trimmed up my sides, and now what I want to do is reach inside of there and turn this panel right side out. I think I'm going to go ahead and identify where those pins are that we're holding down the handles and take those out first so I don't accidentally poke myself. All right, so I basically have a really long tube here. It's so long. I can fit my arms in both sides, and I just want to carefully turn that right side out. And so one side of that is the lining for the exterior, and you will not see too much of that material when the bag is done. And then the opposite side is your beautiful exterior. So you want to go ahead and press this so it'll lay nice and flat. And you also want to make sure that it's even, right? So press out from the center. And you can use your hands up first, and then you can use the iron as well. Then you're going to take those open raw edges and you're going to turn those in a 1/2 inch. And you want that top edge nice and straight, so take your time with that. Press it, pin it, clip it, whatever you need to do. So from the top of my pocket to the top of my bag is 4 inches. And that's what that looks like on that side. And this is my nice, big, wonderful pocket, which with the Annies has a lot more stability. It still might really benefit from a snap at center. We have a little bit of time to think about that. Okay, then I want to do the same thing at the opposite edge. Just turn back that handle and go ahead and turn in my top edge there. Make sure that's nice and straight and even. Okay, then you want to bring back up your handles and clip those in place so they are nice and straight. And then you're going to run a row of stitching all the way across that top to encase the layers and the handles. And again, I am reinforcing with a back stitch on each handle. All right, and that's all there is, believe it or not, to crafting the exterior of this bag. The side panels are actually pockets, and they will be crafted in a very similar way, but we cannot use those until after we get the interior done. So I'm going to save those side pockets for next week's video, because otherwise they're just going to be floating around and they're not going to be attached to the bag. We will be taking this beautiful finished panel and we will be layering that interior on this. So think of this as your canvas for the Lifestyle Tote, which after we layer that interior on will then start to take shape into a bag, and that's when we will secure those side panels. I do want to note that I don't think the instructions in the PDF are very clear when it comes to those side panels. So please do not attempt that early. Let's work through that together. And I will show you, just so you can see, when they're finished, the side panels look like this. And they too are going to come together in the same inside out method, where we're going to layer and then encase everything and turn it right side out so it's fully finished. All right, just so that helps you in case you are looking at those instructions and wondering. It's a multi-step process that I will walk you through next week, so you end up with a beautiful finished side panel, which you can see will pull this bag together beautifully. So I hope you're intrigued. I hope you're considering participating. If you are, please share progress photos with us on the Sewspire Facebook community page. I'll link to that down in the notes. And don't forget, you can grab the PDF at any point and jump in and catch up with us, okay? So thank you so much for spending this time with me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you, to share my designs, and to inspire you to create. So as always, please know, until we meet again, the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. I hope you all have a beautiful week. Thank you so much.